Welcome to another episode of Now It's Debatable. There we are. Think I am online. You guys will let me know if I'm not, if I'm just talking to myself. Hopefully I'm not. You are here with Dion Curry and myself, Sydney Smith. We are back. It's another Monday. We're ready for another fun show for you guys. Little technical difficulties with the internet and software, so on and so forth. You guys know how it goes. The more you pay for things, the less shit works. We got a fun show lined up for you guys. Looking forward to it. Two great topics. You guys probably saw it right there before the show started. I'm just getting in here trying to troubleshoot shit, trying to get the show started on time, trying to get Dion on because I was having issues with this, that, and the other. So I'm a little bothered, but we're gonna have a fun fucking time, man. Dion, how are you, buddy? How are you doing?
There is like super lag now. It was worse than the pre-show lag, so I'm doing okay. We'll see how long this goes. You frozen a couple of times. I don't even know if I'm really talking to you right now.
You talking
So
to me, but now you're lagging on
have
my
you?
end. You want to drop off and come back up real quick?
Yeah, we'll try. We'll try that.
All right. Folks, we got a fun show. So we're going to get into a little bit of Tyler Perry talk today. I posted it up in the group where Tyler Perry was on the Breakfast Club, had an interview, said some things that some people found some issues with. Other people have agreed. Sent it to Dion. He and I went back forth a little bit. Not too much where we will ruin the show, hopefully, for one another and for you guys. Let's see if we can get him back up here. There he goes. Dion was just telling the folks about the show. So we're going to talk about the Tyler Perry interview that the Breakfast Club talked about. They were the first ones to have it, so I want to give credit to them. But I found it very interesting and sent it to Dion. He found it interesting as well. We both have our takes on it. We want to hear from you guys. So hopefully Aaliyah has joined us and Roxy, Miss Susie, and the rest of you guys have jumped on because we don't want to be two penises talking about just what we feel about what Tyler said. We want to hear from the ladies as well. And I don't give a damn what color you are. I think women in general can relate to the subject matter that we're going to discuss. And then we're going to get into a little bit of an update on Michael Oher, the former NFL football player, and the Tui family. For those of you who are not into the NFL, I know you've seen The Blind Side. So we're going to talk about them up next. We got some things that came out about them that Dion actually pulled because he is always looking at shit on Twitter all the time. So he stays up on my
Well, that
stuff.
might change because Elon has come out and said that he's going to start charging a very small fee in order to be on the platform. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but ain't no way in hell I'm paying for basic Twitter. Point blank. Period. No discussion about it. I'm done. I, I use Twitter for the news and see what's trending, sports updates and that type of thing. But if he's gonna be charging people for it, he can keep that. It ain't that good.
What did he happen to give any reason on why he would be charging?
You froze on me. This connection is really terrible. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you now. I
I was
didn't hear your question though.
I was asking, did Elon happen to mention why he's charging
Oh my
people now?
gosh.
I don't know what's going on here.
I heard. I don't either.
Elon doesn't
My
want us to talk
Wi-Fi
about this.
off. Yeah, I turned my Wi-Fi off.
Folks, are you able to? What type of picture are we locking up for you guys? Are you guys able to hear us? Okay, give us a comment and let us know. Really, we're expecting to have a fun one with you guys, and we seem to be having some technical issues here. Okay, so I'm being told I keep freezing. Freezing and cutting in and out is what I'm being told. Let's see. Let Dion jump back on with us here. We try to do this show live. We could easily just do this as a podcast and not do the live portion, but we really like doing the live with you guys. Let's see if we can get Dion back up again. Dion, how you doing?
The struggle is real on this Monday. I tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is right now. They were saying it on the Facebook here that they were seeing it freeze and cut in and out. So hopefully we've got that corrected at this point. I was just thinking out loud that, man, we could easily do this show as a podcast, but we really love doing this live with everyone. So we really want to, work this out and try to do this on a consistent basis. My question to you was did Elon say any reason why he would want to try to start charging people other than the fact that he just wants more money?
I'm assuming it's because he lost a bunch of money when he bought it and the value went down and he's trying to recoup that in any way, shape, or form. Because it makes literally no sense why you would charge people. I'm assuming it's because he's lost a lot of ad revenue with a
I
lot of
was just thinking the same
advertisers
thing.
left X when he changed it over, and so it's probably another way for him to recoup. But this is gonna blow up in his face yet again. Another bad decision when it comes to people have had Twitter for free for so many years, and now you're gonna try and charge them just for the very basic, not even verified. Good
So is
luck with
this
that,
something
buddy.
that he's definitely doing, or was this something he was just floating out there?
From what I heard, that's what it's coming. So
You know what I love? The minute he starts charging, the government can come down on him now, because now people are paying for this service. You almost become a utility at this point, and you open yourself up to regulations and other things from the government.
well, he won't have to worry about that because won't nobody be on there. All the bots and trolls aren't going to be paying subscriptions, so it'll just be those few people who spent $8 a month to be verified for nobody, and the White House.
It does drive me nuts that they allow people to pay for that now, even on Facebook, because there are people who are blue check mark certified, and you look at their page and you're like, who is this person? No one knows you. You don't even have any fucking followers. Why did you waste the time of on getting a blue check mark?
It's one of those things where you used to have to earn your stamp of approval, and now you just spend $8 and look, oop, I'm verified, and you can say whatever craziness you want to, and people will think that you're more important than you really are. It's just the time we live in.
Well, let's get on with the show because we don't know how long the internet's going to let us be on the show. So let's get this show on the road. Again, I was saying before, I hope Aaliyah is with us. Roxy, Mary, who's always with us. Miss Susie, hopefully Dana. Hopefully all of the ladies that we count on for your smart and insightful opinions are with us. As I was saying before, Tyler Perry was on the Breakfast. Well, he was on the Breakfast Club. A clip was on the Breakfast Club with Tyler Perry doing an interview. I'm not sure if he's on a podcast or a TV show or where he's at. But basically, and I put the clip up in the group so everyone can see it. Hopefully, everyone's had a chance to see it. Basically, he was saying black women should concentrate less on a man's pockets and more on how he treats you. So, for example, and I'm paraphrasing him, if you're making the bulk of the money, but that man is where he works, he can take care of a couple of bills, maybe take you out to dinner every once in a while, and still loves you, that should be enough. Stop concentrating on does he make as much or more than you. Now, what we don't have is the context of the entire conversation, why the question was even asked, and how the conversation carried after he answered it. But Dion, you and I kind of went back and forth a little bit, not too much because we try not to look too much. But what were your thoughts on not only the question, how Tyler answered it, but some of the phone calls that were taken as well on the Breakfast Club?
So the Breakfast Club opened it up to the public, and they had black women specifically call in and give their responses to what Tyler Perry said. And for the majority of the women that called in during this short little clip of the show, because I didn't watch the whole show, I just watched this segment that you sent. The women were saying that basically, if a man doesn't make at their level financially, they're not willing to take the chance on love, so to speak. And it's one of those things where, look, I'm not going to knock anybody for the preferences. Okay, let me just say that first. If that's what you prefer, that's what you prefer. However, can you achieve getting your preferences based on who you are as a person also comes into play. So what I've come to find and watching shows like this Breakfast Club interview portion and Kevin Samuels and other podcasts like that is a lot of people want what they're not qualified for. And that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. If you're not qualified to get what you want, then maybe you do need to lower your standards. And a lot of women, because I went and read the comments on that clip, and a lot of women were like, "Don't ever settle. It's better to be by yourself than to settle." And hey, if that's what you prefer, that's what you prefer. At the end of the day, I feel as people get older, their mindset will change because being alone when you want somebody and can't have them sucks. So, you have to deal with the consequences of that moving forward.
Yeah, I'm always amazed when something like this comes up. And they always, here's my question. Why is this question or this comment or this topic always pointed towards black women? Why is it never pointed towards white women? That white women, hey, white woman, maybe you shouldn't try to look for a man who's got deep pockets. Hey, white woman, maybe if a man is just trying to be there and support you and show you love, and maybe he could pay a couple of bills, even though you're paying the bulk, that's still a good man. Why is this question always pointed at black women and not at white women, Dion?
The standards for which the two groups operate are completely different. Um, I mean, if you look at the marriage rate in the black community, it's not very good. Out of four black women get married, whereas white women, I think it's closer to 60% get married. So it's just a numbers game, you know. Black women, for whatever reason, for all the reasons that are reasons, aren't finding partners. Whether it's they price themselves out by not wanting broke dudes because they make more money than them, or just not being the guy they want's cup of tea. I can't. It's an individual basis as far as I'm concerned, why black women don't have the partners that they want. But at the end of the day, they ask this question because my personal thinking is black women want more from their partner than anybody else. They require more in order for you to be with them more than anybody else.
Okay, all right, okay. And we want to hear from you ladies. I haven't seen anyone chime in just yet on this topic, so we want to hear from you guys. Um, this is always such an interesting topic because we always, and we know that they're called screeners, but it always seems like black women feed right into this stereotype whenever this topic comes up. Almost like you're just standing there taking jabs to the face, letting yourself be set up for that big right hook, and you just stand there and take it every single time. You take the bait every single time. And this time, the bait, and I don't even think it was meant to be bait, and it's coming from Tyler Perry, who's tried to do nothing but support black women for the entirety of his career, as far as I'm concerned. And I thought it was good advice. And he must be here again. I don't have the entire conversation before and after, but I can only assume he's heard a lot of the comments, seen a lot of the comments, where black women, brown women are putting this expectation on men, black men primarily, who come into their lives that I expect you to do X, Y, and Z. And if you're not able to do X, Y, and Z, I'd rather be by myself. As opposed to if I could bring A, B, and C, which may be more valuable to a woman of a different group, just doesn't seem to hold the same value with you. But at the same time, generally speaking, you have a lot of black women who will be upset because the brothers are not coming after them in the way that they want and in the way that black men have in previous generations. So it's just a fascinating thing for me that they take the bait every single time.
I mean, what else are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to ignore the question that's posed to them? Are they supposed to not answer it? I mean, they're allowed to want what they want. What boils down to is, can they get it? And the reasons why they can't get it are a plethora. So, I mean, it's one plus one equals two, right? There are more black women than there are black men. So obviously somebody's going to end up by themselves, right? So now you're competing with your sister to get the man that you want. What do you have that your sister doesn't that will make the man you want to be with you? Now you eliminate 50% of the men who don't make enough money. So you're not even looking at those guys. They're not even an option for you. So now you're competing with your sister for an even smaller pool of guys who, for all intents and purposes, can have anybody they want when it comes down to it. If you're the six-figure earner as a man, you can pretty much pick and choose who you want to be with for whatever reason you want to be with them, right? You have the pick of the litter. When you're an average guy, everyday Joe, you get who likes you. And if you don't like an everyday guy simply based off the fact that you make more money than him, well, then he doesn't have a. There's nothing he can do other than to make more money to get with you. Now, if he increases his salary and he knows that you didn't pay him no attention when he was half of what he is now, why would he give you the time of day once he makes it to that level? I mean, you have to look at it from both sides when it comes to getting what you want out of a relationship. What does my attitude towards my significant other and their attitude towards me based on the attitude that I have towards them? And what I've noticed in all these talk shows and interviews and podcasts is that black women's attitudes towards the everyday black man is he's just simply not good enough. And okay, if
And
that's what you think, fair
and
enough.
and that and I don't- and you got there. I don't. You said something that I want to say. At least you tipping onto it, which is, and I've had this discussion in private with women. Do you ever think that, again, generally speaking, the way that you speak about and speak to, and the way you carry yourself when a man approaches you in the kindest of ways, and you respond to him because he doesn't drive the right car, he's not wearing the right clothes, whatever it is that you're seeing within that 30-second snapshot of him and how you are treating him and them, you ever think that has something to do with why you're not being chased down by more men within your own community? And I don't think they ever think of
I
that.
mean, what it's also another thing that you have to think about who they're competing against. The guys that they want, they're they're getting the pick of the litter. They're getting the Instagram models, they're getting the OnlyFans beauty queens. They're, it's it's can you get the relationship that you want, right? Because that's basically what it boils down to for women is can they secure the relationship they want with the guy that they want? And a lot of women, white, black, and other, see guys as, you know, if if he doesn't make a certain amount of money, I don't have to play my position in the relationship. And it's one of those things where if you're with the man, regardless of where he is financially, if you're not playing your role in the relationship, then that relationship's not going to work. And I don't fault women for not wanting to deal with guys who aren't on their financial level. Let me just be very clear with that. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. If I was making X amount of dollars and a broke woman came to me talking about how come you don't want to be with me, I'm like, because you're broke. That's fair.
To my point, I wanted, well, before I do, I want to make sure we involve our viewers because we did ask for them to watch and to participate. So thank you very much, Dion. Just in case, I'm on the Mac on my MacBook, so Dion, if you may be getting some stuff I'm not getting, and so you let me know if you're seeing some comments. I'm seeing one from Demetria. Says maybe black women are more, and I believe this is more to my question I asked initially, why black women are getting this aimed at them more often than any other group. Maybe black women are more vocal about it. Black women are always talking about what they want. My white friends don't seem to talk about it, just speaking from what I've experienced. Yeah?
I mean that I don't think it's an issue in the white community. I really don't. White women seem to go for the guys who like them, whether they have money or not. It doesn't. I don't know. Just from my own personal experience, the white guy friends that I have who have white wives or girlfriends, their financial differences don't really come into play. It's not a topic of discussion for them. When I asked my buddies, why'd you get with her? Did she care about how much money you make? He was like, we never really talked about it. So that's just my own personal experience from my white friends. But, you know, I it's one of those things where you have to be careful what you say and how you say it because you don't want to offend anybody. But I think it matters more for social currency for black people than it does for white people, if that makes any sense.
Break that down. Take a moment to break that down. What you're saying.
Well, average, nobody wants to be average. Everybody views average as something bad, when in reality, the majority of people are going to be simply that. And, this social media that we have makes everybody's lives look a million times better than what they actually are. You get a 30-second Instagram post of you on vacation, and people think you're living that lifetime all the time because that's all you post.
A little
But
bow wow.
what they don't see is your everyday life, what your everyday house looks like, and how it's not clean sometimes. And so you get this fantasy in your head about how you want the quote unquote glamorous life, when in reality, most people can afford to go on vacation once every 2 years. It's like, you just, most people can't afford to drive the nice car, have the big house, and have the fancy job and be a celebrity, and have the perks of life. On average, I think that's more important from what I've seen, is that you have to have that social currency when it comes to black women.
You know, thinking about Tyler's statement earlier, and I was thinking about today. I was thinking about the gym. Just if I came home before we could do this show. And what I would say is, and Aaliyah, I see your comment. I'm gonna get to you, Facebook user. Not sure who you are. I can't see your name, but we're gonna get to you too. Just give me a moment to say this. I think his comment was more towards, not to say only, but more towards women who do not have that much economically themselves. Because what I tend to think and believe, whether you're black or white or whatever group you want to say out there, people tend to date and marry within their pool. So if you are someone who's a high income earner, male or female, black or white, you are normally going to associate with people who are within that type of world. And that's going to end up who you're going to marry, whether they're red, green, purple, or whatever. Same thing if you are someone you make $40,000 a year, where you're going to hang out with most often where people who make $40,000 a year hang out. And that's what you're going to marry as well. I think it only matters to you, or matters most to those people who make that 40,000, make that type of income, live in that type of world. I do not believe, generally speaking, people who are making a high income care about this as much as others do. You agree? You disagree with any of that?
No, I agree. I don't think money is the issue to people who have money. It's the people who don't have money who want to live a life where more money makes life easier, and that's their sole focus. Because in reality, dating someone based on their financial situation is always going to end poorly, because you're in it for the wrong reason. So if you can't find somebody to who you genuinely like to be around, regardless of their financial situation, it's never going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
But we know how men prefer, or women prefer, traditional men, right? A man who's a provider, who takes care of the house, who goes and works, and does what he's supposed to do as a man. I've watched so many podcasts where the quote unquote modern woman is out of order when it comes to how she behaves versus wanting the traditional man who makes X amount of dollars. And so it's one of those things where you can't have your cake and eat it too when it comes to the relationship that you're looking for, if you aren't doing what you're supposed to do. If you're a woman who makes six figures and you see men who make less than you as not an option because they don't make enough money, then chances are when you meet a guy who does make as much money as you, or who makes more than you, Well, you've already reached your boss status, so you're going to combat there. And the guys who make that kind of money don't want to deal with those types of women. So it's a catch 22. Yeah, you got your bag, but at what you want, you can't have because those guys don't like the person that you are. So it becomes one of those situations where what does a woman do? You know, does she make less money so that she can get with those guys,
Right,
or does she
right.
continue to make the money that she's making and quote unquote settle? At the end of the day, if you've got enough money to take care of yourself by yourself, then any partner that you get is just going to be a bonus anyway. So why not get somebody who complements your life in ways that you might need compliment in? If you need a guy who's going to treat you right, maybe he doesn't make as much money as you, but he's going to be there. He's going to help with raise your kids if you have kids, or start a family. If he's going to be a good dad, if those are the things that are important to you, then what difference does it make what his financial income is?
Aaliyah says those women calling were all single and miserable. So she's referring to the women who were calling in on the Breakfast Club. Aaliyah, I would tend to agree with you. My favorite, though, was the one who, going to what you were just saying, Dion, wanted to try to quote what biblical scripture says about what a man is supposed to do. And to your point, and I've said this before, you guys always seem to remember what the Bible says a man is supposed to do, but you seem to forget what the Bible says a woman is supposed to do. You know, a man is supposed to do X, Y, and Z, but at the same time, you are not supposed to, the word obey is not supposed to show up at all at your wedding. You know, all these different things, these things do not match. All right. So we need them to match up. And I go back to what you were saying before, or maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was one of our viewers. It just doesn't seem to come up with Caucasian people, with Caucasian women. I've known a lot of them. I've been in that world a lot in my life. I've never sat around and just listened to this conversation being had over and over and over and over again. This reminds me going back, and she's probably gonna hate me, but we had the ladies on from the Fab podcast, Fake Ass Book Club podcast, and she and I got into a little bit of a debate, which Dion kind of designed, because he's the devil. And there
I
was
just
this
knew it
whole
was going to
thing,
happen.
yeah, whatever. It was this whole thing where she thought black women should not have to sit back and wait anymore for their chance, for their opportunities to do X, Y, and Z. They should be able to step out on their own and separate themselves from black men if need be to make sure that they get theirs. And she and I went back and forth because I have a strong, strong issue with that, generally speaking, as a group of black folks as a whole. But this just seems to be another arm or leg of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you make a certain amount of money and you're comfortable, can't nobody tell you nothing. So again, if can't nobody tell you nothing, then what's the point of having somebody come around who might have something to say, right? Why even open yourself up to that? You have to look at what a relationship is, what a marriage is. It's supposed to be a conjoining of two people whose lives turn into one, right? You work together. The man leads, the woman follows. If a woman is leading and a man is following, how long is that going to last? In the modern society, it's not going to last at all, because that is not how modern society is set up. Is there, a minority of people who can make that work? I'm sure there is. I know a few comics who have wives who make more money than they do, and good for them. It isn't an issue. The woman has the man that she wants because he makes her laugh, and she enjoys his company. He has a financial backer who helps him get to the gigs that he normally wouldn't be able to get to without her. So their relationship works. This whole idea of the Bible and gender roles, look, if that's your thing, if that's your religion, if that's your belief, okay. If that's what you're looking for, go get it. If you can't get it, then guess what? That's not going to work out for you. And, my biggest issue with the woman who called in and said that, it was just like, well, okay, you can have the attitude all day long, but at the end of the day, can you get what you want? And if you can't, what do you do? How do you get what you want if the course of action that you've taken has led you to a life by yourself? Kevin Samuel said it all the time: buy a dog, die alone. And, unfortunately, because of the numbers that are out there, if you discount half the population of men who are available because they don't make enough money, and then you go to the group of men who are available and they have the pick of whoever they want, why would they pick you? Was the question he would always ask, and none of them ever had an answer.
And, and and I don't care if you have no money or if you have all the money in the world. If your primary focus on picking a mate is his wallet, his pocket, then you are already going to be dead in the water because you're missing so many other things that you should be focused on. And I only hear this I don't want to say stupid, but hear this mindset from two types of women. The first type, the first group of women I hear from are, I will say this, stupid women, because they keep banging their head against this wall. And if were honest about their own dating and marital history, you would know and they would confess that this has never worked for them. Never. Whether they get with a man who never cared about them in the first place because I only got you for the one thing I need you for. Maybe that's because I didn't want to get you pregnant. You can rear these kids and take care of the house. Whether it be you got a man because he can have the pick of whoever he wants and he's got all the money so he can tell you whatever he wants. The third would be you got the man who maybe even puts his hands on you because you don't got nowhere else to go. He's paying all the bills and taking care of everything. And he knows the deal that the two of you made. You seem to be the only one who doesn't. The other group usually are young ladies who have not lived enough life to even have a real educated opinion on this decision. And if someone doesn't get their arms around them, they're going to end up in the other group well before their time. Because what I do find with men and women who become old fools is you can't tell them nothing. And they just keep hitting their head against that same wall over and over and over again. Facebook user here says, I personally think all people, black, brown, white, emoji yellow, should pick a partner based on who they are as a person. Money ain't everything. Completely agree with you there. Sorry, I don't have your name here in
That's
front of me.
that's Dana.
Okay, Dana. Well said, Dana. Mary says, hi, guys. Comedian August O'Neill is with us. She
Hey,
says,
Mary.
hola, hola. I'm sorry, you getting ready to say something, Dion? Go ahead.
I was just going to read Chelsea's comment. She
Oh,
says, I just need good D and a good sense of humor.
well, Chelsea, you would be one of those young ladies that needs to live a little bit more life because that's that ain't enough, baby girl. You know I adore you, but that is not enough for long term relationship success. Aaliyah Craig says, based on the entire conversation from that podcast, keep it positive, sweetie. Okay, so that's the name of the podcast. Tyler was talking about women who make more money than men. He was saying, know your own worth so that money won't be a deciding factor when choosing a mate. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Aaliyah, for helping us out with that. With that said,
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, well, if you go back and watch the clip, the girls they had on the panel was like, who wants to be with a broke guy? Why would I want to be with a broke man? Why would I want to be with a guy who I make more money than? And for that, the people that have that mindset, well, okay, that's a fair question. Why would you want to be with somebody who you make more money than? Is it because they're a good person and they treat you right? And unfortunately, their circumstances, life is they don't make as much money as you. If that's the worst thing about them, then why not give those people a shot?
And here's the other thing, Di. Women, and I'm not talking about any woman on this show, so do not take exception, ladies. I'm speaking about women in general. If a man said, I don't want to date a woman because of a particular size, or because she doesn't have a large enough breast, or anything of the sort, the women would lose their minds. How dare you reduce a woman to her weight, body type, breast size, dress size, any of that? It's like there needs to be these special rules for some of these women walking around to allow them to do as they wish, as long as there's nothing negative in their eyes coming back in their direction.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it boils down to looking in the mirror. And like I said earlier, can you get what you want with the skills that you have? If you're a woman who earns a certain amount of money and you see a man who doesn't make as much money beneath you simply because he doesn't make that type of money, well then the guy that you want more than likely is not going to be the guy that you need, because those two things, Sydney, you and I both know guys who have money. They don't put up with any kind of sass from anybody. So if you think you're gonna get with a guy because you're used to being a boss at your job, that you can go into a relationship and be a boss in that too, well, I hate to break it to you, but that just simply doesn't work, especially for the men who make that kind of money. Now, if you have this boss complex and you find a guy who makes less than you, yet you're willing to give that guy an opportunity, then you have to know that you can't emasculate that man if you want the relationship to work. At the end of the day, a relationship shouldn't be based on money anyway. So it really shouldn't matter if he makes $50 a day or $5,000 a day. It shouldn't really matter, because at the end of the day, you're cohabitating with someone who you're supposed to enjoy being around, simply for the have a corner office or dribble a basketball.
All right. You broke up a little bit there, but it sounds like you were saying you're supposed to be around someone you're
Wow,
supposed to
am I
enjoy.
lagging?
And,
I'm lagging. I'm lagging big time.
yeah, uh, you're there sometimes, and then you kind of start to lag. Look, if you and I, oh, Dion dropped off. I closed my eyes for my thought for 1 second, and he drops off. So we're gonna let him come back up. I thank you guys again. Roxy, I see your comment. We're gonna bring you into the show here shortly. Give me a moment. I think Aaliyah has another statement she made. We're gonna bring her in back. Dion's back with us. Dion, what I was gonna say was, whether you're a male or female and you're out here dating, I myself, to your point, know exactly what I'm worth, and you can't talk me out of it. And normally, those people want to be, unless you're some sociopath, you want to be with someone opposite of sex or same sex, who is somewhere on that level as well. You know what I mean? The man that these women are looking for, with the deep pockets and so on and so forth, is not going to lack self worth. So he's not going to come to the situation. You're not going to like what you're getting, is what I'm trying to say. You're not.
Well,
Because any
a guy
man
who
who
makes
with self-worth is not going to let you pick him based off his pockets alone. It's just not going to happen.
true, and the guys who make you know average money, they have self worth too. Not everybody can earn 6, 7 figures. You're gonna need average people. You're gonna need average workers. At the end of the day, your relationship should be based on, does this guy treat me the way I want to be treated? If you can afford to take that trip to Aruba that you want to go to, or Turks and Caicos, or Maui, or Cancun, or wherever it is you want to go, if you can afford that on your own, then what difference does it make if he can take you there or not? If you were planning on going, go.
Because you know how many women I listen to say the man should
I
take
don't.
all the
To
bills so I can go play, buy, and do whatever I want. You hear that all the time now. All the time. I think it's insanity.
Well, look, if that's what you want, you're allowed to want that. I don't have any. I literally don't have any problem with a woman who says, "I want my man to pay all my bills so I can do whatever I want." I have no problem with that. The only thing I would say to that is good luck finding that guy, because again, you said men know their worth. A man knows deep down what a woman really wants from him. If he's spent time and energy talking to you and getting to know you, he knows exactly what type of woman you are and whether or not he wants to put up with that for the rest of his life. You should know that right away as well, because I don't think men hide it very well when it comes to what they want from the opposite sex. When you start talking to somebody, you pretty much know right away. Is this guy, does this woman really want me for me, or are they fantasizing me? Are they putting me in this box of, oh, he fits the physical characteristics that I like, so you know I'm gonna allow him to talk to me any old kind of way because, well, at least he looked good. Or a man says, "Oh, she got a fat ass, so I'm gonna let her run her mouth because I like her booty." It's one of it boils down to that a lot of the times, is where people who shouldn't be together spend more time than they need to spend time together because they have this fantasy of, oh, I can change him, I can get him to come around, and he'll see it my way, she'll see it my way, and you waste all this time and energy, you get all this trauma built up because in reality you knew from the get go that y'all probably shouldn't have been together in the first place.
I know so many women who are with their husbands at this point and before, but definitely at this point, because it's for the money. His money allows her to play and go on trips all the time with the girlfriends and live in the greatest neighborhood and just live this life. Uh, and sometimes they have a job, sometimes they don't, but they're miserable. They would love to leave, but they can't because you signed up for this fucking deal. And the men that I know who are in those situations or on the verge of getting those, they, to what you were saying, they know what they're getting into. This is a business arrangement for them. This is how they look at this. I like you enough. Maybe I have developed some love, but I control everything at the house just like I control everything at work. You're going to give me some kids. You're going to take care of these kids. Maybe I'll listen to your chit chat every once in a while. But for the most part, you're going to be quiet, stay in line, because what else you got to do? Where else you going to go?
That's a tough situation. But again, as a woman, you should know what you're signing up for. If that's the type of man that you're dealing with, you got to know how miserable that's going to be. If
They don't know
the
that.
social cur- the social currency rarely matches the financial currency, if that makes sense. So what you get socially from a guy who makes 6 7 figures is not what you're going to get with an average earning man, because he simply doesn't have to care about what you're talking about. He's earned enough money to be like, I don't give a shit. And so the chances of you finding a quote unquote good man who's gonna care, who makes that kind of money, is extremely rare. Because once you make a certain amount of money, can't nobody tell you nothing, regardless of what your moral situation is. I've seen it happen with dudes who I grew up with, who I knew they were one way as we were kids, but once they made an X amount of dollars, it was, man, I don't gotta listen to that bullshit. I don't have to put up with that shit. And if you don't have to, there's there's not a single person on the planet who's going to come around and change your mind.
And
Point
that's
blank. Period.
money gives you freedom for that. And I'm right there with you. I'm one of Dion. Dion knows me very well, and he knows I'm one of those people. I ain't got to listen to that shit. I ain't got to put up with that shit, and will tell you to your face, and have no problem telling you to your face. I have no problem with making sure anyone who walks this planet, including the person who birthed me, you're gonna treat me in a certain way, because I've earned that, and no one slips away from having to fall into that group. So I'm right there with Dion. You work very hard to get to a certain level, whether that be status, whether it be finances, whatever it is. I mean, look at it for anyone at their job. If you've been on your job long enough and you've done a good enough job, you don't expect to hear certain shit come from your supervisor. If I come in, if I've been here for 15 years and I've never been late, or I've never dropped the ball, or I've saved your ass on an assignment several times, when I come in this motherfucker one day late every fucking week, I don't want to hear nothing from you. Because you know why? Because I have earned that right. And I don't think anyone is immune to understanding that about themselves within whatever world that they live in. Roxy here, I want to make sure I get this in because she says something very smart, because she starts it with, I agree with Sydney. So I know that this is going to be an
Oh my
outstanding.
gosh.
She says, I agree with Sydney. that there are so many qualities that are more important than money. For many years, I made substantially more than my husband. Now he has surpassed me financially. And Roxy, I'm going to assume, Roxy can correct me because I was going to touch on this. I think one of the most rewarding things, Dion, is to find whoever that person is that you're going to be with and whatever financial. Because I don't care how much money you come in the door. I would hope that the two of you together want to make more and have more, if that's if that's what you desire. But there's nothing better than coming up with someone that you love. And you guys are working together as a team. And maybe she made more, maybe he made more, maybe you both made nothing and you really didn't have anything when you brought it in. But you believed in one another, you supported one another, and you brought people up. See, people today treat you the way they used to treat us when you graduated from high school and went off to college or wherever you went, and you try to get that first credit card. And they say, well, no, I can't give you a credit card because you don't have any credit. Okay, well, how am I supposed to get credit if you won't give me the fucking credit? I don't know, but come back when you get some credit. That's how these women are treating these men. I need you to come to me after you are a fully formed whatever it is they have in their mind, and then I'll do something with you. Well, by that time, I don't need you. I've already done everything. You want to come in and back clean up after I got put everybody on fucking base. What do I need you for that? I can go ahead and knock everybody in on my own now at this point.
Yeah, it becomes one of those situations where if you don't strike while the iron's hot, you don't get to eat a warm meal. It's unfortunate because of the way society has trended the past 10, 15 years with dating. You know, the standard of what is acceptable when it comes to just being a man. You got to have a big dick, nice car, make X amount of dollars, can't cheat, can't like Instagram models pictures. You can't do any of these things that these women deem are unacceptable. But if you flip it over to what they're supposed to do, well, I got a bag. So what do I need to be quiet and sit down for? I got a bag. I got money. It's like, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. That is literally a man's role. I know it's not fair, but that's the double standard of society in the Western world. If you want the guy you want, you have to do what he says, point blank, period. That's how it works over here. It or you can be by yourself, be the boss bitch that you want to be, and good luck finding the guy who's gonna let you talk to him any old kind of way. It simply does not it doesn't add up in man math. That's the easiest way I can say it.
We get through some more of these comments. Thank you guys for sticking with us with the conversation. We appreciate it, and through all the technical difficulties, we do appreciate you. Facebook user says, I've met men that make a lot of money that are super arrogant and vanilla, and the broke men I've met were down to earth and kind. And down to earth and kind trumps money to me because I'm going to make money. I've made money. I've lost money. I've made more money.
Let me say this: if you broke, the least you can be is down to earth and kind. You don't really have any more options. You can't be broke and an asshole. So to Chelsea, I say those guys didn't have any other options. So that's to me what it boils down to is your moral character. You know, does money make you who you are or who you are regardless of money? At the end of the day, that's the person that you should be with is regardless of what I got in my bank account, would you still want to be around me if I had it or didn't have it? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't be with that person at the end of the day. Because let me tell you, you can take all the trips you want to, but if the person you're taking the trips with is somebody you can't stand, you're not going to be happy on that trip. So what difference does it make if you go somewhere and you don't genuinely like the person you're going with? And what from what I've understood is all these women who want this type of lifestyle are miserable people because they don't understand that the guy they want doesn't like who they are as people, not their job, not their career. It's just who they are as genuine women. Those guys don't like those type of women.
Yeah. I see here. You're broke. You got at least you can do is be kind and down to earth. Carla says a smart woman doesn't say what you have, but make sure the dick is big. Okay. Malay says, so money is something that comes and goes. I must say I don't want to be with a lazy guy, which is important, which is kind of, yes, which is very important. I just got home from my brother's wedding and we blew $250,000 on his wedding. Now that she is part of the fam, we took her to our business and showed her where to start. She cried. We need to understand what it takes to get there. He can't stay with her all day. He has to leave to go to work to maintain income for the lifestyle she likes. Why are you shaking your head, Di?
Because you wasted $250,000 on a wedding. There's no reason, even if you, there's just simply no reason to spend that kind of money on one
It's
day.
all it's all relative. If they got it, you spend it.
Even if you got it, because you set a precedent. If that's how you start, you better not fall off because you've started. I always tell people aim low. That way, when you fail, you don't got that far to go. Okay. You can always go above and beyond what you set your goal at. But if you set your goal, look, I just want to be stable and comfortable. If you can maintain that level of thought, just make sure I'm good. At the end of the day, as long as I'm good, I'm gonna be all right. You gonna be all right. But if you aiming for the clouds and you know good and hell well you can't fly that long, well, just know that road down to that person who's on your back, who's not used to that fall, who doesn't understand the struggle that it took for you to build your way up into those clouds, they're gonna be nagging your ass on the way down the entire time. And
But
$250,000 for one day is ridiculous. I don't
no,
care if you
no
got it
way,
or not.
no way.
It's dumb.
Here's where I'll disagree with you.
Buying a yacht when you're gonna use it 3 times a year is still it's a bad investment.
It's not a bad investment. Look, it's not because if you have that kind of bread to buy a yacht, what the fuck do you give a shit if you can use it 3 or 4 days? You're not on a budget. You can have whatever you want. If you're Jeff Bezos or Magic Johnson or anyone with that kind of bread, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, you want a yacht. It doesn't matter if you're using it 3 or 4 days.
Right. But here's the difference between those people
Those are
and
the people who can
the
buy a
people I'm
yacht.
talking about. Okay, let me explain. They know that there's no point in buying the yacht if they're only going to use it for 3 or 4 days. They know, oh, this yacht is an investment. I'm going to buy this yacht and then I'm going to rent it out to people, right? So why would you spend $250,000 on a wedding for one day for yourself when you know that you got to get up and go to work the next? It doesn't make it's just illogical. It's a bad investment.
This
It's like
first of
it's like
no, no. I'm sorry. I don't. You know, I try not to cut you off, but I'm cutting you off because you're dead wrong. 250,000, and I'm assuming if you can spend 250 G's, you doing okay. What I will agree with you, and here's where I would change the recipe, assuming we even know what the hell we're talking about because this is someone else's marriage, is this person needs to already understand what it took to get to that point, what it took to be able to have this $250,000 wedding, all of that. So
that
hopefully
goes
you
without saying.
that
That's what
that
which is the main reason why I was saying it's a bad investment because it seems to me that this person didn't know that he's got to go up and go to work tomorrow, and it's like, well, if you didn't know that and you spent $250,000 on the wedding, this don't sound like an operation for success to me. It sounds to me like, oh, you wasted a shit ton of money
I would
and this
agree.
person's about to be miserable.
I would agree with you if we're getting this what was shared correct. I would 100% agree because I'm like, what's the tears about? What are you crying about? You think where you think the money come from? So I'm with you there. Aaliyah says I agree with Dion, so I can already see the rest of this is going to be all
So
bad.
this is the smartest comment we've had all night.
Aaliyah says, I agree with Dion. If that's your preference, that's fine. But money comes and goes. Finances can change literally overnight. There's got to be something else. There's got to be more value. There's got to be something else that's more valuable. Aaliyah, I would 100% agree with that. Even though you said I agree
Look,
with Dion.
if she gonna agree with me, if she gonna agree with me, you got to read her comment correctly. Okay, she
I
says
did.
I agree with Dion.
I said that.
If that's your preference, that's fine. But money comes and goes. Finances can change literally overnight. There's got to be something else there, that's more valuable.
That's I did.
I don't know
Why
why you were
what's the problem? What's the
struggling.
problem?
With, I don't know why you were struggling with that last part.
Because I
But
was choked up with
here's the
the I
thing.
agree with Di. So give me credit for getting as far as I got with it.
Well,
I, was- I was, but no, absolutely right, and we would definitely agree with that. Facebook user says, "All I care about is how you treat me and the people around you." Is that Chelsea again?
that's Chelsea.
All right, a little more living to do.
Dana Dana says women should be able to support themselves. Being stuck is sad. Figure it out, honey. Also, there are plenty of women who have dated the guy with money, in quotes, and all the options, as you say, and told them to fuck off. And deservedly so. If you date a guy who doesn't treat you right, you should tell him to fuck off. If you date a woman who doesn't treat you right, you should tell her to fuck off. Whether she got money, whether he got money. If somebody's not treating you right, the first thing you should do is get out of that situation. For the life of me, I've never understood people who have been in relationships with people who abuse them either physically or mentally. The moment you do something I don't like on a level of disrespect, that is the last time that I deal with you. There is no I don't I can't fathom getting into a situation where I'm dealing with somebody on a day-to-day basis who has repeatedly done something disrespectful to me. I cut those people off immediately. You do not get day 2, 3, 4, year 5, 6, and 7 to be just straight up disrespectful to me. You gotta go.
Great. Roxy says, "I think it's reasonable to expect a partner to help provide both financially, emotionally, and with the day-to-day operation of running a household. I love being married and having a partner. Realistically speaking, marriage is hard. I like having the ability to walk away if I choose to. If I'm married, it's because I want to be, not because I need to be." And Roxy, I would agree. I think with all of that. The only thing maybe I would say, and not to say you're not saying this, is that every marriage, that couple has made whatever deal that they've made. So if the deal was made that she's paying the mortgage or he's paying the mortgage and the other is paying the light bill every month, and your job is to make sure dinner is ready to go when I come home, because I've had a rough day every day because I'm making that kind of money, and with that kind of money normally comes that kind of stress and that type of schedule, and I'm going to miss some ball games, and maybe you got to run the kids around. If all of that stuff is understood, I think it's okay, and as long as there is love and respect there. Too often, though, with these conversations, it feels like the respect that you should have for your man is tied to how much money he has in his pocket. And I don't know how people grow up, other than this is what you've seen or this is what you've been taught, that money equates to respect in a relationship. And I don't think that it should. I think that's the wrong outlook.
It's definitely for the modern dating scene here in 2023. It's definitely women don't want broke guys. Point blank. Period. If you're broke, they don't want you. So as a man, you have to learn how to navigate that. How do you find a woman who is on your financial level that's willing to work with you? I think that's why the dating pool is as toxic and as terrible as it is because most people out there don't understand that the grass being greener on the other side is it's not real grass, it's artificial turf.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get over there and then you realize, oh shit, this ain't what I want. This isn't better than what I had. It's different, but it's not better. And so when you can quote unquote upgrade to a higher tax bracket, you have to deal with higher tax bracket problems.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who move into the higher tax bracket don't understand that those new set of problems that you're about to start dealing with, you're not equipped with them.
Exactly. Carla says, "I have Costco and have plenty of batteries." Winning. All right, Carla. Too much information as usual. So, Facebook user right behind it. Not sure who they are. Dion will let me know, I'm sure. Says, like 50 Cent said, yachts are so fun, though. I'm
That was
living and
Chelsea.
okay. I'm living and learning, sir. I believe that's what she She's calling me sir, talking. That's her youthful way of talking back. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it was laced with sarcasm.
Hey, I'm looking forward to the comment later on down the road, probably within the 3 to 5. Chelsea, we say, Sydney, you were so wise. I should have just taken the easy route and listened, but I was young and I had to bump my head against the brick wall over and over and over again. But now I know. Pops is with us tonight. What's up, Pops? Pops says maybe it's just me, but however you
Hey,
achieve, he says, but however you achieve financial wealth, hopefully works for or even inheritance who you choose to spend it with. I think that means how. How you choose to spend it. Oh well, however. Sadly, we see youth with money or ice around their neck, wrist, etc. Sadly, today's society, it draws some of the worst attention. Money is the root of all wealth, and my mother always said it's not what you do, it's how you do it. I'd agree with that, Pops. If it seems I'm struggling today, it's because I'm trying to look at the tinier screen on this MacBook. Dion, you want to read the other comments there so I don't chop up anybody else's stuff if you don't mind?
see,
Mary's next.
Mary says my husband works his ass off. We have more than some and less than some, but I am treated like a queen always. I've had more money and was treated like I was crazy and the problem. I will take my king and the peace over money anyway.
There you
She
go.
says, I love, honor, and obey my husband because of who he is, not what he has.
See, I love that.
Yeah. And you have a good marriage. Uh, Roxy says, don't talk about taxes, crying emoji. And Pops says, to Dion's point about abusers convince the abused, nobody wants you but me. They are cowards who take away another person's self esteem. It's about power. At the same time, they put fear in the person, and that person has nowhere else to go. And some of it, the person is embarrassed to even tell family and friends, plus, they are cut off from them. Right. But that takes time. And so, to that, I would say anybody who challenges you as who you are as a person in a manner that is disrespectful to you, if somebody says they love you and then they turn around and punch you in the face, then you have to immediately question that love. And it doesn't have to be a physical punch to the face. It could be a demeaning word to your character. It can be, you know, a manipulation or a gaslighting of who you are and what you stand for. Anybody who challenges you that out of the blue with no basis on your behalf where you did something to make them challenge you, you should get away from immediately. I don't understand people who just sit back and tolerate disrespect in so many different forms, whether they're putting their hands on you or whether they're demeaning your self esteem and self worth. Anybody who cares about you, who truly cares about you, would never take the time out of their day to put down who you are as a person. And anybody who does do that, you should get away from immediately. You don't need those people, even if you don't have anyone, it's better to be alone and by yourself than to be with somebody who's just going to disrespect your existence. Point blank, period.
This, what you're saying is not wrong, but it sounds like the conversation that's had so many different times with people who are already in abusive relationships, and you're trying to talk to them the 10th time over about why they shouldn't be in that abusive relationship. I don't think what you said is the right response to people being in it, because what people have to understand is that that person is in it for a reason, whether it be this is what they saw growing up and this is just what they're used to, whether this is what was done to them and this is what they're used to, whether it be in their minds they don't think it's love unless this is being done to them. There's a lot of reasons why people end up in abusive relationships.
No, I'm not saying that I don't understand that. What I'm saying is I don't understand how, if you're aware of, if you've seen abuse, if you watched abuse, if you recognize abuse and you're with somebody who abuses you, how do you not immediately go, you know what, I'm not putting up
But
with
it
that.
ain't that, it's not that easy. This is what you
it
know.
it it,
And you
it
don't
it's
have the
absolute.
self-esteem to get out, and you have, there's a lot. Dion, here's the part that you're missing. This isn't is The abuser knows who he or she wants to have in the relationship with them. They don't pick you at fucking random. They pick you because they know, they understand, they have a sixth sense about it, and they know what they can get away with.
I'm I'm well aware of how people use power
Okay,
over others to abuse them.
I'm not even
I'm
talking about the
aware how what
power. I'm
I'm
not. Go
well,
ahead.
that's
Go
what
ahead.
it basically boils down to when you get into an abusive situation. The moment you let it slide the first time, they know they got you. And what I'm saying is when you recognize, oh shit, this person did something disrespectful to me. If you don't cut it off right then and there, then what are you? Abusive people don't change. They don't. It never gets
And
better.
neither,
We
and
all
people who are
it
being abused don't change that easily either, is what I'm saying.
it's a lot easier for those people who are being abused to recognize that they're being abused than it is for the abuser to be like, you know what, I'm abusing this person and I need to stop doing that. And what I'm saying is just me personally. I'm not blaming anybody who's been abused. What I'm saying is me personally, there is I cannot see a situation where I would let anybody just talk to me any old kind of way or put their hands on me. It doesn't matter how long I've been with you. We could be you could be my mother. If you're abusing me or you're doing something that I don't like, you are out of here. Point blank, period. I don't need to ask you any questions. I don't need to interrogate you as to why you're treating me this way. It's I know what my line is. You cross it, you're gone. Point blank, period. And I understand that people who are abused don't necessarily know where their line is. I'm just saying from my own personal viewpoint is I can't fathom allowing somebody to take advantage of me like that.
And I
I
think
just
that's a
can't.
better way to put it. I think that's a better way to put it, is that you can't imagine or fathom letting someone do that to you. And what I would say to you is, if you did come across a woman, I don't know if you ever have or ever will, who thinks that she could abuse you in whatever manner, emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever, once you put her in check as an abuser, she will know, well, I fucked up. I judged this one all wrong. And she will gladly go in another fucking direction to go
But that's
cast
what
her
I'm saying.
line back into the pool.
I don't check her. She just gets gone. You do what
How,
you're gonna do.
however,
You're a grown
however,
adult.
however it happens, she will understand that she chose wrong with you and will be happy to separate and go throw her line back into the fucking pool again. That's all I'm saying.
But the abuser is always happy to go on and find the next victim. That's what I'm saying. Is like I don't understand how you could sit there and let somebody abuse you.
We're right
I
back where we
personally don't
started. We're
understand it.
right back where we started. Of course, you can't understand it because you're not built that way. Some people, through their experiences, through whatever it is,
Dude,
they
I
are built that way.
I've I've gone through a lot of emotional traumas in my 38 years, almost 39 years on this planet. And to this day, like I hear the excuses. I don't understand the excuses. I just simply don't.
You know what I find fascinating? The things, the shit that you say to me when I say I don't want a lower minimum, I want a lower minimum wage, and all the other things when we talk about that. Oh, you're a Republican, you're a capitalist. You demonize me like a motherfucker. But now we get to something that is a real issue, and you label these things excuses and just can't seem to understand the excuses that are made because you went through
Look,
things. Let me finish. Because you went through things emotionally and whatnot, you expect everyone else who has to respond the way you do. I'm completely blown away by this,
no,
Dion.
I'm not saying I expect people to respond the way I do. I'm saying simply for me, I don't understand it because if you're being abused, you know you're being abused. You know that. Unless you're a child, as an adult, you know what abusive behavior is. You know when someone is challenging your self esteem. You know when someone's making you feel like crap. You know when someone puts their hands on you. You know that. Why you tolerate it is the reason you tolerate it, whether it's because of your childhood trauma that you haven't overcome. Okay, I understand that that's the choice that you're making, but at the end of the day, that's simply what it is a choice. You're choosing to allow someone, for whatever reason you're allowing it, you're allowing them to do that to you. And I don't get that. Why would you not just leave? You gotta go.
All
That's
right.
the only way it ends is by you gotta get out of the situation. Point blank period. They never change. We
All right.
know that.
All right.
And that has nothing to do with how I come at you about why you
Has
would
every
want to
has every
lower
has
the
you
minimum
you
wage.
sound you
That's a
sound you
terrible
sound
idea.
heartless,
Me saying getting
heartless.
away,
You sound heartless, bro.
me saying get away from an abuser is
No,
heartless. But you saying I want to
no.
lower minimum
You
wage
it's not the only
is
thing you
not.
said. I, you sound like a Republican now or a politician in general where you want to pull snippets out of what you said. I'm gonna request you go back and listen to the podcast and listen to the
I know
entirety of
exactly
your
what I
statement.
said.
Oh well, then
I said I don't understand it. Just leave, because that's the only thing you can do. Because they're not going to change. You know that. I know that. They know that.
okay. Uh, I'm old enough to remember everything you said. All right. Miss Mary Ballard says,
Not
"Amen,
well.
amen, Dion." But I don't think it is about this nonsense you just got done saying. Miss Susie says, "Right, Dion. Love is not an endurance test," which I would agree with there. Carla says, "I am 5 foot. I'm a 5'3" person. I stand for myself. People need to know. Would you allow that for your sister or mom?" I think you're hedging a little bit on the 5'3", Carla. I don't think that's. And she says, "I will shoot." Miss Susie says, "True, Sid. A lot of the abuse is from history, and they may not recognize it. Plus, if they grew up in drama, they may crave the chaos. It feels normal." Pop says, "Quiet as is kept, it cuts both ways. There are males in abusive relationships, absolutely. Hey, are afraid their partners will call them a punk. You ain't a man. Real love and respect is missing. People do things because they can, period." And Facebook user here says, "I agree, Sid. Thanks, Mr. Socialist." I don't know who said that. Is that Chelsea?
I don't see that comment. Let me
Oh,
switch back to the other one.
okay. Let me know if you see who that is. There, I'm betting that's Chelsea.
No, that's Dana.
Dana, boom. All right, Dana. Then you get the applause break and the MJ laughter and the DJ horn. All right. Because I'm on the laptop, I'm able to give y'all some of those sound effects there. And Dana, you earned the trifecta today, putting Dion in his face. That's right, Mr. Socialist. Other Dion's playing though,
I
you
am a
would all.
socialist.
Other Dion's playing
I
though,
don't.
you all
I
would
don't
be
have
able
a
to get
problem with that.
some type of minimal health care, mental health care for your state though. All right.
Oh, but you, Mister, oh, lower the minimum wage. How are they going to afford it? Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, man.
You're talking
You
about
either are or
cake
you
eat
don't.
it too.
Okay.
What are you talking about? I'm not. We're
I'm
having two
just
different
saying.
discussions.
So you want people to to be able to get
Somebody
away
called you an
to,
old white
oh, they
man.
can't. Yeah, that was Dana. That's fine with me. Sitting across from an old white man as many times as I have on this podcast with some of your political views. Fair enough. Okay. But again, if somebody and because Mary says, Dion, I have to disagree on one point. I was eye deep in it and didn't even realize what was happening to me. Whenever you deal with someone who doesn't make you feel how you want to feel, I, I, I don't understand how I can't fathom why people would tolerate that. Yeah, everybody else can. I What is it that I'm lacking that I don't understand that you guys seem to
A heart.
understand? Like,
A heart.
I don't understand for the life of me why I would tolerate somebody on a day-to-day basis who doesn't make who whenever they speak to me it's negative, whenever they put their hands on I can't understand why I would continue to see this person. Especially as an adult. I get it as a kid, you don't have an option. But as an adult,
Well, don't forget
what what
these
what
adults were
what
kids at one point.
okay, fair enough. Like I said, I have, you know how long it took me to overcome the abuse that I grew up in? It took me a long time.
Are you saying
I
people should pull
contemplate,
themselves up by their bootstraps, their emotional
no,
and mental
no, what
bootstraps?
I'm
Is
saying
that what you're
that people
saying?
should recognize when somebody's not treating them the way they want to be treated and they should cut them off immediately. That's what I'm saying.
Like, pull yourself up by your emotional bootstraps. You heard it from Dion. Now put that on your bumper sticker when you run for president.
You know how I did that? I went to therapy.
Well,
Yeah.
with
Mr.
some of that
Emotional.
socialism, some of that
Yeah.
socialist money, I
Yeah.
guess.
Nobody
So,
ever does it by themselves. That's why this whole bootstrap quote is
no, it's not
stupid.
stupid. You should have. I told you, go back and listen to the podcast. Hear yourself today. All right, Julius says some abusers are on autopilot some abuse don't recognize the abuse if it's not as severe as before. Great point there as well, Julius. Thank you for watching the show. Mary says, I wasn't raised in an abusive, I'm sorry, okay. I wasn't raised in an abusive or violent environment, but a narcissist can create an alternate universe that you don't even see as an issue. Roxy says, Mary Ballard, yes. Identifying abuse is different for different people. I think that for some of us, certain types of abusive behavior are glaring simply because we have experienced them before. And then Julie says, yes, Mary, very true. Man, taking on the chin tonight there, little brother. Taking on the chin.
I have no problem being the only one with my stance of don't let people abuse you, point blank, period. You just don't let them do it. As an adult, you get to choose who you interact with. Leave.
Okay.
You're not stuck. Go. If someone's talking to you in a way you don't want to be talked to, get them out of here. What difference does a history make? If the history don't matter to them, why does it matter to you? What excuses are you making to tolerate this behavior? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. Going to therapy, talking to my therapist, she would ask me, why are you tolerating this? And I had to give her an answer. I couldn't leave the session until I came up with an answer. Well, it's because I love them. Is that the type of love you want in your life? No. Is that why you're unhappy? Yes. How do you get away from that unhappiness? Oh, I cut this person off. Is it easy? No, I never said it was easy. But is it necessary? Absolutely. Leave. Don't let people treat you any old kind of way. Self-esteem be damned. Because there's almost 8 billion people on this planet. You don't need one asshole in your life to validate your existence. Point blank, period.
All right. Pop says, I hear Dion, excuse me, I hear Dion. It would seem very obvious. By the same token, there might be one reason to leave and more reasons to stay. As much as they are similar, it is a case by case situation. Sad but true. And Miss Susie says, but they don't feel worthy of better treatment. Damage created in childhood is hard to overcome. You can say go because you are financially independent. All right, all right. This has been a good show. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dion.
To that, I say it's better to struggle and be broke than to be financially secure and abused. That grass is greener on the other side.
All right.
If you talk about your own personal happiness, would you rather stay miserable and paid, or would you rather be happy?
I don't think anyone's saying that people should stay. We're just trying to get you to understand, Mister, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Why some people can't, why some people can't recognize it, why it's hard for some people. That's all.
No, I'm not. I didn't say it wasn't hard. I didn't say that.
You said you can't understand why
I
people stay.
never.
That's what you said. You said I
I
can't
ke-
understand why people stay.
and
Why
I
would you allow
can.
that to happen? Why would you let someone treat you that way? Why wouldn't you just leave?
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If I told you to do 50 push-ups and you were capable of doing 50 push-ups, but you didn't want to because it was difficult for you, would you say you're making excuses?
Dion,
Because it's simply for the fact that it's difficult is not a reason not to do something.
okay. All right. I would love to beat you up more on this one. Maybe we'll do this one again next week. We'll take a little more time on this one so I can really pound you into submission. Thank you all for checking out the show. Dion, what is your what the hell, sir?
My, what the hell is up with Lauren Boebert getting frisky at Beetlejuice? That, ma'am, do you not know the job that you have?
Boob action all
I,
over the place.
I
Grope me in the movie theater.
listen, okay. As much as they talk about how drag queens are bad for children, this is clearly bad for children. To be at Beetlejuice and watching their state representative jerk some guy off while she's vaping at a public show.
And he
I
had a
mean,
handful.
I just grabbing on them mommy milkers like like they the only ones in there.
You got grandchildren, man.
Shout out to the hidden camera operator because they were able to zoom in on this clown of a woman and just I make it make sense, man. You can't say one thing in public and then what you think is private in a very public place be getting felt up talking about, oh, we need to bring back family values. What, ma'am? You left your husband for this new cute guy. Like, make it. What the hell is happening, bro? I don't understand.
And and I want to give her an applause break real quick for one thing. I'm gonna do it because she hit him with the line that is always the worst line for anyone with any recognizability, any notoriety. Do you know who I am? So you cannot, and that's the time you don't want anyone to know who you are. You should have the sports coat my man was wearing. You should have had it over your head like you were being perp walked into the police station. This woman with grandchildren was being felt up at a Beetlejuice musical of all places. It was,
How are they not in the skybox? Like, come on, even Lincoln knew better. Like, if I'm gonna get my head blown off, I'm gonna sit up in the skybox.
I that's the only
They
thing
can,
I wish. I wish they had let it go a little further because I'm pretty sure she was gonna get that man head right there in the seat with everybody around. This has been that'd have been a really good video to have. Um, that's a good one, Dion. I don't have a what the hell this weekend. I do have an ask, and I thought about it today. I don't know why we don't do it on this podcast because we are always about promoting what we're doing. We should promote more than just this podcast and comedy shows that we have coming. So, Dion, I know some people have come here based off some other things you were doing, but some people don't even know you got other shit you're doing. So, as far as podcasts, so just shout it out, man. If you're a faithful viewer and listener of this pod, Dion is on a couple of other ones. Dion, what are they called, brother?
so I do the Pat Down with Miss Pat that comes out every Tuesday. I also do Sorry We're Canceled with a local comic here named BT. That comes out every Tuesday. It's on YouTube and all the podcast outlets. Yeah, so if you like this show, those shows kind of have a similar comedy vibe, but that we don't debate things on those shows. BT and I sometimes get into conspiracy theory debates, but that's just me yelling at him at how stupid he is. And the Pat Down, obviously, if you guys know who Miss Pat is, we talk about what's going on in her life and things that are going on in the news. So you can check those out on YouTube and all podcast outlets because they're video podcasts as well.
Yeah, will you do you have that Lauren Berber video at your fingertips after the show? Are you able to post the link into the group? Because if people
I'm
hear,
sure I can find it on Twitter. Yeah,
okay.
I can. Yeah, I can do that.
And real quick for myself, obviously you guys know we produce this one every week. I also have a true crime one called Murderous Podcast. That's Murderess podcast. If you're into true crime, I just do female killers on that. And then there's one I just started with my wife called Running in Slow Motion, where we talk about our marriage. If you're married or in relationships, don't worry about it. We're not on there trying to tell you how to do your shit, more like our shit. We just want to talk about ours. We talk about everything from depression. Last night's recording, Saturday night's recording, which that went up today. We talked about what inspires you as an individual, and then we have some fun with it as well. And we take people send us questions and we answer those as well. So, running in slow motion, Murderous Podcast, Sorry We're Canceled, and the Pat Down, and of course now it's debatable. We would love for you guys to jump on all of those, subscribe, be avid listeners and viewers, and throw some comments if you can in there as well. Believe it or not, that helps with the algorithm, especially for Dion and I, independent stuff that we do. The Pat Down, I don't assume needs any help at all. But for the other ones we listed, we would love some help there with some nice reviews and some 5 stars also. So
Yeah,
that is my what the hell.
the most important thing you guys can do is share these podcasts, whether it's Now That's Debatable, Murderous, Sorry We're Canceled, Running in Slow Motion, or the Pat Down. Sharing is the biggest way to grow any and everything, word of
Absolutely.
mouth. So
Yeah.
if you guys love the show, a lot of you show up every Monday and comment, which is fantastic, but also hitting that share button, it does incredible, incredible wonders for Sydney and I to just have some people who aren't our usual suspects to see it and to join. So,
Yep.
with that said, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. I killed Sydney tonight, and he won't recognize it, but I'm sure when we go back and watch the tape, you'll see that I dominated as per usual.
Shout out to Mary. She says she's listening to the podcast. She says the pat down. Sorry, we're canceled. Those are Dion's others. J- Julia says conspiracy. Where? So Julia sounds like he must be a listener or probably sorry we're canceled. Then Mary says YouTube and all podcast outlets. She says running in slow motion, which is the one I do with my wife Tamara. People are really having fun with that one. Roxy says I love running in slow motion. It's my favorite new pod. So Roxy, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I love you for that. Thank you. And Mary says Murders podcast as well. She also says me too. So thank you guys very much. We do appreciate it. Miss Sudi says, can you post links to other podcasts? Absolutely, we will. Dion will post for his two. I will post for my other two also. And then Julia says Shane. Not quite sure what that's referencing. I assume you do, Dion?
I do not.
Okay. I don't either. Well, that's been the show. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate you guys for jumping on, give us your eyeballs. Technical slightly with the internet, but we pushed through and you guys rode the wave with us. We do appreciate it. Aaliyah, Roxy, Julius, Mary, Miss Susie, Dana,
Chelsea,
Chelsea as
Dana,
always,
Mary.
and everybody who watches who never says a word. We appreciate you too. Don't forget to click that share button before we end this damn thing. We love you. Have a great week, and we will see you next Monday. And I kick Dion's ass
Peace,
as
yo.
usual. Show's over.
Not a chance.
Show's over. Show's over.